Okay, cool. We are live tonight. I'm going to play some Secret Agent HD. Let's get into it. No worries, mate. Thanks for hanging around. So, the reason I'm doing this at all is I wanted to explore this game a bit. I haven't actually played it properly since the release, which is a shame because that's actually my name in the credits as one of the testers. And I wanted to do a bit of a casual playthrough of the game and share some thoughts and hopefully answer any questions that crop up about the game or its development or playing it, that sort of thing. So, just to point out, yes, my name is Tim. That's why it is Timix and not Timmy or Timix or any of that. It's Tim. So, let's jump straight in. Get some stuff back into view properly. Okay. So we'll leave this all first. So this is the, I guess, the traditional first level of the game. Yeah, it's pretty simple, obviously. Just, hey, Mothy, how's things? So, when I was invited to test this game as a beta tester, my actual reaction was, "Oh, cool! That sounds interesting. What is Secret Agent?" I'd never actually played it as a kid. I think I'd heard of it. I'd seen it in like software shareware catalogs and so on, but I'd never actually had a copy. I'd never actually played the game, which might come as a bit of a surprise. Okay, hello Aggie. So, obviously I had played a lot of Crystal Caves, which shares a lot of DNA with this game. I don't have the blue key yet. But strangely, the first time that I played this level was not in Secret Agent, it was in Crystal Caves. Because a fellow by the name of Rhubarb is such a Secret Agent fan that he basically recreated every level in Secret Agent in Crystal Caves when it came out. Both games, of course, are by Ember Heart Games. And it was actually really interesting having, after playing through this game so much, going back and just sort of checking out Rhubarb's original Crystal Caves rendition of these levels. It's actually worth. I honestly do recommend it. If you have both games, go back and play those levels that he made. A lot of the design decisions that he made in translated levels worked really, really well. I really enjoyed playing those. So, and Crystal Caves is actually the reason I was invited to beta test this game. Because when Crystal Caves came out, I actually first heard of it from the Pixel Amusement YouTube channel. Did a bit of a recap of the original Crystal Caves, and I think that was last year? Might have been last year. Time is meaningless in these uncertain times. So yeah, he mentioned that Crystal Caves was getting a reboot, and because that was a game that I played to absolute death as a kid, I absolutely jumped onto that the moment that I could. It's actually really convenient because I was starting to look into streaming myself. I've only been streaming a short while. And Crystal Caves was a really fun just sort of way to get into it. So I did a lot of streaming of that, a lot of playing it. Including a playthrough that I did with an original 1992 Gravis gamepad controller. That was really, really fun. In fact, I did a no-death run with the Gravis gamepad in Crystal Caves of the first episode. So because I had done that, because I had basically just hung out in the Discord for the game, I have some links that I'll share at the end of this. I was invited to test this game out. So, Ruba wanted me to talk a little bit about, I guess, the differences in the way that Crystal Caves and Secret Agent play. So, while they have a very similar engine underneath, they play very slightly differently. And obviously the objectives and the contents of the games are quite different. So, the way that I see the difference between the two is that I see Secret Agent existing in a parallel universe where Milo Steamwits, who is the main character of Crystal Caves, never figured out how to jump out from a little enclosed area. So the main difference that you'll come across is this isn't actually a great place to demonstrate it because you just hold jump and pop out of here. But if there was no ground here, if this platform ended just here, in Crystal Caves you can jump out and jump from there, but in this game you cannot. That is just a difference that if you want to play Secret Agent you'll have to get used to. But that's the way that I see the differences between the two games. It's kind of a parallel universe where one happens, physics are very slightly different. In terms of gameplay objectives, so this is... despite being very similar games, like obviously they're platformers, they control basically similarly. I always shoot that guy 3 times just out of reflex, I don't know why. So this game is more of a run-and-gun adventure game to me. Whereas my read of Crystal Caves is that it's more like it's definitely more a puzzle platform. And the way that the levels play differently kind of reflects that. So for example, in Secret Agent there is a lot of backtracking. So it's not so much in the early levels that we're playing at the moment. Simply because they are, they're intended to teach someone how to play the game. Generally they're fairly linear right at the start. But especially towards the end of the episode, they become more sort of... more like a James Bond movie, basically. So you're running around, sneaking around, and I have timed that badly. Yes, okay, we got the platform. So my playthrough this tonight is going to be very, very casual. I'm just going to play the game in regular difficulty. I will show something funny about the harder difficulty a little bit later on. Because there is something there that is actually kind of special to me in terms of my testing of this game. But for now, this is going to be a very casual playthrough. I'm not going for perfect health. I did that a fair bit during testing, just to make sure that, it was possible I have done a hard difficulty playthrough of all 4 episodes. But that is quite a trick to replicate on a live stream, so I'm just going to enjoy tonight. If I take a hit, I take a hit. That's fine. So, to talk a bit about testing the game. I can't jump down there just yet, because if I touch that laser, I die instantly. Yikes! Forgot there was a spike there. These spikes are the bane of my existence. Having come from Crystal Caves, where there are spikes in the game, they operate kind of similarly, but they are visible all the time. They don't hide away like the ones in this game do. So my first major struggle when starting to play Secret Agent was those spikes. I'd just be... You know, there are later levels that have tons and tons of them, and it just becomes a bit of a maze to sort of run through them with the right timing to avoid getting hit. And for the longest time I was terrible at that. Okay. So we are steaming through this, which is good. Now this level. I kind of have thoughts about each individual level, and I want to be clear that I'm not coming across, I'm not criticizing. If I say that I'm not a huge fan of a particular level, I don't want to make it sound like I'm criticizing the original developer of the game, who frankly did a fantastic job with what was available at the time in terms of the technology for writing games and things. So, if you've ever gone back, if you played Commander Keen, for example, as a kid, you ever thought, you know what, I'd actually quite like to make my own levels for this game. This is kind of fun, I want to do a bit of modding. The software that was used to create the levels for Commander Keen was software called TED5. Now, TED5 was an extremely basic bit of software, by today's standards. I've already screwed this level up because I needed to get those glasses in that corner. Of course. So this level's kind of like the first difficult one that I would say. The first few levels, you go through a fairly linear path. It's relatively easy, you just pick stuff up along the way. This is where you start out to paying attention, because if you don't, you end up missing out on stuff. But getting back to the question of software, so this game, the remake of Secret Agent, was made using Unity, which is a fantastic bit of software. Basically designed to make making basic computer games very, very easy. So stuff like that did not really exist 30 years ago. Keeping in mind, this game was released 1992, the original for this. So what we're looking at here is essentially a 29-year-old game remade. 29 years ago, screens were very small in resolution. This is before Windows. This is before Windows 95. This was before computers were what most people consider to be a computer. So, which is a very long-winded way to say, if I criticize the level design, if I criticize the part of the game, I'm mainly actually referring to something that was a limitation of the technology at the time, and not necessarily a choice by the designer. With all that out of the way, I will share some thoughts on some of the levels as we go through. This one, it's, like I said, it's fairly early game. It's where things start to get a little bit harder, so I don't mind that it's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more cramped to move around. Which is another gameplay difference between this and Crystal Caves. Crystal Caves, as I said, was a puzzle platformer mainly, and the point of that game was running around in very tight corridors trying to find all the individual things that you needed to finish the level. And it was a puzzle game. Like I said, this is more run and gun, this is more action. And so most of the levels in this game are a lot more open. They're a lot easier to navigate. So the really hard question is, which one do I prefer? Do I prefer Secret Agent, the remake of that, or do I prefer Crystal Caves, the remake of that? That is a tough call. But it's not as tough as having, you know, two kids and being forced to tell someone which one is your favorite. It's not quite that dramatic. On the whole, I think I prefer Secret Agent. It's a little bit more... just because it's a little bit more to my tastes. As an overall game, I definitely prefer this. Especially because in Crystal Caves, the difficulty in that game ramped up very hard after the first episode. To the point where, when I was playing that game, I struggled a fair bit. The first episode, of course, I played, like I said, I played to death as a kid. I know that episode inside out. But part 2 was a lot harder. And then 3 was harder still. Whereas in Secret Agent, you walk into doors with the key to open them, you don't shoot them open. I've had a long day. I've had a long day of work. Alright, so actually coming back to the movement differences between Crystal Caves and Secret Agent. So because I'm standing on this barrel, I cannot jump up here. If I'm standing here, even if I'm holding jump, I will simply fall into the lava and die. You cannot jump up from a place like this. Which will catch you out if you're used to playing Crystal Caves and you're starting this game for the first time. And the reason that I'm getting through these levels so quickly is because I've played them to death. I say that and then just run straight into the spike. During testing, I put a good 100+ hours into this game. So it's hard to, even for me to remember just how much I hated these spikes when I started playing this thing. So now the levels start getting a little bit trickier, and this is good. I really like the difficulty curve in this game. It's not a curve so much as just perfectly linear. It's just every level is a little bit more interesting than the last, and it's the same deal I feel with the later episodes. But the difficulty I can talk a little bit more about in later streams as I go through the other episodes. This is probably a good time to talk about the music in the game. Because if you're a kid in the 90s, you will immediately recognize this as this particular music track as being shall we say, heavily inspired by the Mission Impossible theme. Of course, I say that, it goes into a quiet bit. And I'll be honest, when I first heard this track, during testing, I wasn't a major fan of it. Partly because of that reason. I just felt it was a little bit too close to its obvious inspiration. But truth be told, it's kind of grown on me. I honestly think it stands out on its own as a... like, obviously there's no getting away from the fact that it was absolutely inspired by the Mission Impossible theme, but it stands out on its own as a piece of music to me now. And obviously it absolutely fits the theme of a game with secret agents. So this level has some interesting choices. It's worth mentioning that the levels that are in this game are, at least for episodes 1 to 3, are very, very close reproductions of the levels in the original game. So very little has been tweaked. Where are we going? This way again. Like I said, this game is a lot of backtracking and remembering what you need to do. So yeah, the levels are mainly still original. There are a few tweaks here and there. Interesting choice. I'm not sure why this was put here. Possibly to make it harder jumping around with the flames or whatever. Alright, just gotta wait for that to dissipate. What am I doing? I need to get back up there. So these things, I'll pick them up as like examples of, so this is confusion, and it basically reverses your left and right for a short while. Ah! And the moment it wears off is really awkward because you immediately just start running in the opposite direction. Interesting little challenge. So, as a tester, most of the influence I had was on general gameplay. And trying to make sure that the game played as smoothly as possible, as consistently as possible. There are parts in a lot of the original levels where there are pickups for scoring that are simply impossible to reach. Either because there are linear choices you need to make within a level that means you go this way and not that way, and then the stuff that's over here you can't pick up. And stuff that's just placed in levels that's just, you know, way up too high and there's no way to get up to them. one of my main focuses in testing this game was to try and minimize the amount of that. So I think I'm right in saying that there isn't a single collectible item in this game, in the remake, that you cannot collect in some way. Good evening, Lord Vader and Frankie. Frankie's a cat. That was close. Look, if Frankie ever takes over the keyboard, just, I don't know, nod or something. And then tell us if you nodded. So, I guess partly because of that, the influence that I had on the early levels is not so huge. There's a few things which I'll point out along the way, which are changed. There's a couple of enemies that have been removed, there's a couple of, you know, very subtle tweaks to the linear path through a level, and to the locations of some pickups. And honestly, I'm quite happy with the result. I'm really happy with the way that this game turned out. I've timed that perfectly with the spikes. No, I played through this level before the stream, just testing, making sure I remembered how to play this game, how to finish each of the levels. I did that exact same thing. I triggered the money bag falling down and then immediately just leapt straight over it. The positions of those money bags are not original. Well, a few of them are, but there's a whole lot of new ones as well. And a lot of new ones were sprung on us right at the end of testing. So, I have not found them all. The game does tell you how many there are. If you, on the main menu, which we'll look at later on, it does show you how many money bags you've collected from each episode, and how many there are left hidden. So this is a good example of level with a lot of back and forth. We jump up and over this castle thing multiple times. Because we have to get a key, we open a door on the other side, we, you know, do all sorts of stuff. Including miss a shot every now and then. I like the way that this level handles this barrel that you have to push around. There are some levels where you have to, where it lands on a single wide bit of terrain and you have to very carefully, you know, jump into it like that. But this is really satisfying, just pushing it around like this, just left and right, no need to jump around to get around it. In the original game, you could not jump past those spikes quite so easily. That is one thing that we spent quite a lot of time testing and tweaking, was getting those spikes just right. Despite never having played the original of this game, I don't think I really lost that much in my ability to test it out, test out the remake, if that makes sense. It was kind of cool. I got to see the game with entirely fresh eyes. Like, I didn't know, you know, how the game was meant to play when I started testing it. So we go... No, we don't. We go down here next. This is another very solid back and forth level. I struggled to like it at first. And there are some very awkward bits. Like, there's this little jump here. You have to fall down here. Because if you touch any of those spikes, you just die instantly. Fall down here, get the key. And then work your way back. It's... I like the concept of this level more than the execution. That said, it's a perfectly good level. I like... It's a very linear flow, if despite having just said that it jumps around a lot. It has a very defined path. Stop and wait for that spike. Stop and wait for this spike. Now, if you ever actually watch a speedrun of this game, a lot of players will come to this level first, or try to come here first, because of that pickup down there. Which is an interesting concept in this game, which kind of reinforces the fact that it is a run-and-gun adventure game. So the way firing works in this game, if I just mash the firing button, I can only have one shot on screen at a time. That's a very common thing with a lot of older games. It's partly a resource-saving thing. Like, if you're talking about a matter of kilobytes in memory that you have to work with, you're going to be very, very conservative with the amount of objects that you're going to allow at any one point. So what that pickup does is let us have, well, it's called rapid fire. Increase shot power. I call it rapid fire. And it allows you to have two shots on screen. So it works exactly the same way as the weapon power-up does in Duke Nukem. The original Duke Nukem, that is, not Duke Nukem 3D. Another interesting thing about this level in particular, so the letters that I'm collecting that say Spy, S-P-Y, you have to collect them in that exact order to get that bonus. And every time I come back to this level after a while, you collect the S near the start, you collect the Y just here, and then you start to panic, wait, did I miss the P? Where is the P? And then you come all the way over here and then you see the thing here. If I had designed that level, probably the major change that I would make is to reverse the position of the P and the Y. Just to make it a little bit more linear. And just because you've already gone, you know, back and forth so many times in that level, I just felt that. That is a tweak that I would make. Now. Yes, like I said, that's the level speedrunners go for first, because it's the one that lets them fire more quickly. I don't know that I will try speedrunning this game. I'm currently mainly speedrunning Dune 2 at the moment. But it would be nice to sit down and have the time to speedrun, plan through this game. So this level is fine. It's a nice, easy, kind of open, so a little bit non-linear. But the levels are small enough that you can, you know, you're not going to get lost. And unlike Duke Nukem, for example, the levels are, even though some of them are a little bit maze-like, they're not really big enough to get lost in, which I think is a good thing for this game. So, with collecting those letters in order, there is an achievement for collecting them in order, at least once. There is also an achievement for screwing it up and collecting them in the wrong order. There's actually quite a lot of Steam achievements in this game, so it actually enhances a bit of the replayability, because you end up going back and trying to figure out certain ones. It's great. A little too close to that guy. There it is. Where is it? There it is. So it's difficult to find every single hidden money bag in a level. You'd basically have to print out a map of the level and then, I guess, grid it out and just exhaustively search through every part to find them all. A really useful method you can use to try and find them is if you see like a big open space with nothing really in it, and there's really no point, you don't have to go there to finish the level, try jumping around there for a bit. You'll probably find a couple of money bags. A lot of them are placed in very cheeky places, I'll put it that way. Right. Here's what we start to get to one of the harder levels in the game, in the first episode at least. This level, more than any that we've gone through so far, I think really embodies Secret Agent as a game. There's a lot of strict pathing, you have to be very careful about where you go, what order you do things, and especially which doors you open. There is a Steam achievement for finishing a level with a spare key left over. There are a handful of levels in the game where you can do that. This, I think, is one of them. Okay. And while I'm kind of hesitant to reveal too many spoilers, honestly, if you haven't played the game by this point, I don't know what to tell you. There's been a lot of really skillful players do even hard difficulty runs. One that I would recommend is a channel by a fellow by the name of... his name is Bart. The channel is called Das Gamert, with a T at the end. Which I think is a... That must be a Dutch linguistic contraction or something. And we haven't collected any of the letters yet. Where is the S? We got one of the Y's down there, we got a P over here. It's in there, okay. So. I love that little story and puzzle, that's great. So below the door, we'll go back for the letter P. Which is in the other corner of the map now. Come back down here to grab the Y. And now we go for one of the most satisfying... Okay, cool. So it's a clever pun then. Okay, that makes me appreciate it even more. Thank you, Frankie. The world's first linguistic kitten. Okay, this level. This, in my opinion, is the hardest level in the first episode. There's a lot of back and forth, there's a lot of spikes, and it's very easy to lose concentration and just immediately fail. There it is. Yeah, there was one there somewhere. So let's see if I manage to finish this level in one piece. The first go. Because having got the disc, we now need to go back to where we started. It's all these spikes. I guess I like that it's because I'm concentrating very, very hard. So I like this a little bit. I like that you have to push the barrel basically just past the edge to be able to grab what's up there. That's actually a trick I ended up using in a number of my own custom levels. It's just such a beautiful little thing. To the point where I've actually made levels entirely about moving barrels around precisely. That one I'll show off because I'm actually quite proud of it. So, 45 minutes in, we're actually already up to the last level. Which is fine. Because now I get to talk about the ways in which this level is awesome. So, most computer games that build up through multiple levels, the last level is always the hardest. It's always the one that you start over and over and over because you just can't quite make it through. You never seem to have quite enough ammo to get through all the enemies you need to. You can never quite find all the secrets. This game kind of bucks that trend. Not least because from this point, if I had the dynamite, I could jump up there right now and just finish the level. That's a speedrunner tactic. But back to what I was saying, this level is kind of casual to play through. It becomes exactly as I've been saying for 45 minutes. It's just a run and gun bit of fun. You run around, shoot things. It's like a celebratory run. And I really, really like it as a game design decision. And that's actually repeated through episodes 2 and 3. It's just a really nice, really casual way to wind down after playing a game. Okay. There's still a bit of back and forth, obviously. Having grabbed that key, I'm now jumping all the way back up here. I nearly made it without getting hit. But that's okay. So, the idea is we get in that boat and we finish the game and go on to the next episode. But what you'll notice about the shark, as it orbits this little island down here, it flashes. Now, I think at this point it's okay for me to talk about this, considering it's been shown in live stream. It's been explained. It is analogous to the volcano trick in Crystal Caves. And if you haven't seen that, I have some videos on it on my YouTube channel. Go check them out. So when I first saw this during testing, it didn't click for me that it would be some kind of special hidden thing. I actually filed it as a bug originally. Because, hey, the shark is flashing. What is going on with that? I thought it was some kind of glitch to do with the... Because obviously the boat that's there that you have to pick up to finish the game is flashing as well. So I thought, oh, maybe there's some kind of weird graphical glitch to do with that. As it turns out, it's part of one of the greatest puns ever made in a platforming game. It's called Jumping the Shark. And when I say it's analogous to the volcano trick in Crystal Caves, it's a very similar trick in that game where there's a thing you do with the volcano on the main level, and it spawns a whole bunch of pickups on the overworld that you have to, or can collect, as like a timed puzzle game. So the way this works, I'll start down here. So we grab the first one. You start with 30 seconds on the clock. You have to collect all of them within that time. Every one that you pick up gives you 1 more second to play with. I think I'll go this way. Grab this one. I don't know that I'm going to make this. There's no more down here. That was close. So, as it turns out, the flashing shark is a feature, not a bug. in the original game, this little show here was just a completely static image. This has been lovingly redrawn, recolored, and animated for the remake, and I think it's lovely. Just an extra little detail that I really appreciate in this game. So that's the first episode. We got through that quite quickly. Which leaves open, I guess, the question of what to do next. I want to try and keep one episode per night that I stream this week. So we're not going to go into episode 2. Let's look at the level editor and some of the... I'll go through some of the levels that I've created. So, right, I mentioned the barrels. So, a barrel of laughs. This is my level. I created it basically just to have a bit of fun with the push barrels and the teleporters. Because during testing, I realized that obviously you can walk into a teleporter, and the way these teleporters work is that they're all linked to different teleporters, and they're linked directionally. So this one is linked down to here, and then this one is linked all the way back. Simple as that. So through this level, it's just completely reciprocal like that. But you can also set up chains of teleporters. So you walk into one, it takes you to point B. You walk out of the one in point B, you walk back into it, it takes you to point C, and so on. You can actually do like a chain of teleporters, which is a game mechanic that I'd like to take advantage of at some point. It's just not one that I've had time to fully explore. This level though, this level is fun. I tried to make it as kind of a puzzle thing, because look, if this teleport is up in the air, you cannot use it because you can't stand right in the bottom of it. So what do? You push a barrel there, and all of a sudden, you can use the teleporter. So having done that for this one, you look over here and think, okay, that one's even higher, so I need 2 barrels. So the way to do this is to push this one over here, push this one on top, and then you can move down here. Now the next bit is the same sort of height, so you need 2 barrels to get here. But there's this block here, so how do you get 2 barrels over here? You very carefully push them over, and then you can do the same thing. And what you might notice is that in each of these lower rooms, the objective for them, the thing you needed to collect down here, I put on top of these little barrels, and you might notice something about their color scheme. I intended that as a bit of a hint, but I don't know that anyone really spotted it or found it useful at all. Now, the last little bit. So, we can't fall down there because that laser will kill us. We found the goggles, which means we can walk across the bit of water that's past that bit. But how do we get past this, and how do we get the money bags that are up there? Well, same kind of deal. There's this block. Can only push one of these barrels into this area. But there's that barrel up there. So to get that one, that brown block you can shoot, and it'll crumble away. So what you need to do is grab this barrel again, push it all the way back here, jump up here, and you can't walk through there because again, it's a laser. So what you have to do, if you shoot, nothing happens because the moment your shot goes off screen, it stops existing. So what you have to do is that. Next up, you have to carefully do the same sort of thing. Now with the barrel in this position, you still can't jump up there. So what you have to do is the same kind of thing. Carefully move everything over. And now we can jump up there, grab these money bags, and then push first the one barrel and then the other into here. And that's a barrel of laughs. Let's see how quickly I can do it. Because I kind of intended this to also be kind of a speedrun challenge as well. There you go, just under a minute. Other people have managed to complete this level a lot quicker because they found a different strategy with pushing these two barrels around in this area. And it's great to see. It's really cool to see someone take something that you've put together and then run with it and find a different way through it. So that's a barrel of laughs. I did make a special version of this level for people who played this game, who bought it through GOG Games. And to show that off, I'll just load it here. And it's basically the same, except that I added this to it, just to be funny. Anyway. A couple of other levels that I'll show off. This one is, if you've played Crystal Caves, you should recognize it immediately, because the basic layout of it is also basically the first level of Crystal Caves. And this is something that I actually really recommend if you want to try making maps for a particular game. Find another game that is similar to it in the way that it works, the way that the mechanics are, the way that the game plays. Try and take an example level from that game and sort of try and transplant it into the game that you want to try making maps for. Because just because you're so familiar with the way that the way that the level should play through, you'll find it really easy to you'll find it really easy to translate that into the new thing and learn how it works in the same way. So this is on the Steam Workshop, as is the barrels level, but I'll play through it just to sort of give it an idea of how this level works. Cool, I got them in time. And didn't miss that. Right, so having done that, we need to go this way. Now there is a point to having this little hole down there. I'm not going to explain it though. Someone might come back and watch this later on and understand the reference here. So this is the kind of thing. This is the little barrel trick that I mentioned earlier that I like to do. You need to have this barrel down here to get up to here. But then to get back up there, you have to push the barrel back. So you have to kind of reposition it each time you need to get back up there. Now this guy's a new enemy for the game. It was brought in for episode 4, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. The dynamite here, I had intended for you to have to get it with the jetpack. And then it was... I've done this the whole wrong... I've done this wrong, I have to restart now. Okay. Because there's a thing that I forgot to do. Get in here next. I forgot to come back here with the disc and turn off the laser beam. Yeah, you have to push that off the edge a little bit. So in translating this level across to Secret Agent, you can kind of see where I latched onto the idea of the back and forth. And even though Crystal Caves and Secret Agent play a little bit differently, this is a good candidate level to do that with. Just because it's a little bit open, it's a little bit more like a traditional Secret Agent map than it is Crystal Caves, if that makes sense. Like I said, that thing with the dynamite, it was the DOS Gamer guy who played this level and made me realize, oh hang on, you can actually jump over it normally. And you know, that's actually a really good thing to happen, because if you create levels, you're creating them for other people. And what you really want to see is other people playing them and figuring out how to get through them, because a lot of the time people will find a way through your level that you did not expect in the slightest. There was a Crystal Caves level that I had to do 3 or 4 revisions to, because I thought I'd made this super clever puzzle path through it. And I uploaded and thought, right, this is gonna confuse a lot of people. And the next day there were a whole bunch of recorded scores for it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I actually thought this level was really super hard. I don't know how this many people have completed it so quickly. And I finally found a playthrough that somebody had done and recorded and put on YouTube. And the super clever puzzle that I thought I designed, they were just jumping over it. But that guy had a super sense of humor. I commented on his video and said, hey, you know, that's not quite the way I intended. I'm going to fix up the level and upload it again. So if you were to play it again, that'd be cool. And he did, which is really good of him. And he did find the ultra hard way through, which is really cool. So this was the first level that I put on the Steam Workshop for Secret Agent. The second one was another Crystal Caves rework. And again, if you're familiar with Crystal Caves, you'll probably recognize the layout of this one. This one is a lot harder as a Secret Agent level. I think I might have made this one a little bit too hard, there weren't that many people at the end of the day who had completed this one. And fair enough. This is a bit of a tough one, especially with the order of operations. So part of it is that there's the two little scuba pickups there, snorkel pickups. That's because that little bit of water down there, you have to get through that twice. A lot of people just start the level, jump down there, grab the two, and they're like, oh, hang on, I actually need that. But we'll get to that. That's not even the worst part of this level. Possibly the second worst part is this guy. There we go. It's been a little while since I made and published and played this level. So, sticking to the theme of back and forth, now that I have the green key, I can go down to the scuba area. But the way that I normally play this level is to partially start the letter collection bit. So to get that letter S, you have to push the barrel. You do need the barrel to finish the level. And it gets pushed down through that little channel. You can't push it too far because you'll hit that fan and start taking damage. Then I'm going to push it over here and leave it, because if you push it down here, you start having trouble completing the level the right way. So now we duck down here, grab one of the scuba pickups. We don't have the disc yet, so we'll have to come back for that computer. Now. So I do think I made this part a little bit too difficult with this barrel, because you have to push it all the way down here. It has to go down this channel here. I made this little trap for it here as well, because if you ended up... Because what you have to do is push it all the way out to here, and then use it to jump up here. I've screwed this up, haven't I? No, I still have the red key. Yeah, I made this level too hard. Even now, I'm having trouble going back and doing it correctly. Yeah, I forgot to come back up here and grab the goggles. So now we have to carefully jump up here. I put a bunch of these rapid fire pickups in, simply because the rapid fire mechanism in this game works a little bit differently to how it works in Crystal Caves. Excuse me, and it kind of became necessary for the part up there where you shoot through all those blocks. So now we grab the other scuba item, run down here, turn off the laser. And see, this is the thing. So if you get the order of operations wrong with the barrel, you cannot jump back up here. And normally you think, oh, well, if I push it all the way to the wall, I'll be able to turn around and come back up here again. No, that's why I put this thing here. So by this point in the level, if you haven't jumped up there and collected everything that you need to, you can't finish. This bit I kind of like, but I wish I'd done something to make this part of the level a little bit wider, in retrospect. See, even with all the rapid fire pickups, I'm still, you know, firing at bits and. Oh. There's another one just there. Yep. I'm pretty proud of this little puzzle, where you have to get up there at the right time to follow the flame to the extra letter pickup. But then you can't stay on the platform because the thing will get you. I'm really, even though it's an absolute awful, cruel puzzle to have to do, I'm still quite happy with it. Now we wait for the flame to come back. And the layout of that little, this little puzzle here is identical to the way it is in Crystal Caves. Okay. And now it's just to make it back through the spikes. And that's that level done. The title of it, A Very CC Service, is a reference to a really fun TV show called A Very Secret Service. It's French. I think it's on Netflix. If you enjoy spy stuff, I recommend it. You might find it interesting. So, I did remixes of 3 Crystal Caves levels so far. This is the other one. This is actually based on a level in episode 2. The title isn't really a reference to anything, it's just... you have to come up with a name for a level. That's all it is. This level I experimented a little bit with the background. So the original level in Crystal Caves had the kind of background tile that alternated between light and dark, light and dark, light and dark. I started this level doing the same thing, but found it didn't really work. It was a little bit too eye-punishing. What I experimented with instead was trying to visually code where the secret pickups were. So if you look very, very closely at the pattern of these tiles here, and you look at the tile just there in front of me, the ones with a slightly funky shaping have the secret pickups. Cool, got that first try. It can be tough to figure out your way through this little maze, especially because I made it basically one way, in the sense that you can't go. So the way that I've shot through the level here, you cannot do the mirror image version of that because this block is here there. And this is another level where, in retrospect, I may have made it a little bit too difficult. A few people were complaining that it was a little bit too hard, and fair enough. If you try making your own levels in this game, that is a thing that you'll come up against quite frequently yourself. You'll end up having made a level that's a little bit harder than you expected, and not as many people will play through it as you had hoped. And that's because it is difficult to make a good level. I've made a few now. I wouldn't say they're good. I am proud of them. But they are definitely difficult. Can't quite remember how I intended to do this bit. That might have been it. Right. Now that I have the ammo to deal with these spiders. Now we bring the barrel down here. To shoot this guy. So now we can get into this little area. This part I'm pretty proud of. I like the way this little bit turned out. Now we go back for the letters. Bulbs. Get back here because we've got the disc. Go back here, grab the jetpack. So, I'm happy with this level, the way that it turned out, but I acknowledge it is very long. It's... Even if you go through it as quick as you can, it's still several minutes long. And all the really good Secret Agent maps, they only last, 2-3 minutes if you're going full speed, even with all the back and forth. So this is genuinely a bit of a hard level. So that's that. So a couple more things I want to show off. This I'm going to issue as a bit of a challenge. Why does the mouse cursor go to that? Oh, because you can click and drag. Okay, I didn't know that was a thing. So, this is not a complete level. This is a recreation from an early draft of one of the later levels in episode 4. It started with a really tricky jump, which is kind of funny because so to make this jump, if you end up in that little space at the top there, like that, you will not make the jump. However, if you bump your head on this bit, or if you jump really far and bump your head on the far bit, you do make the jump. But getting stuck in that little bit there, if you don't jump quite far enough, you can't make it. So my challenge is, if you have a Secret Agent, take a screenshot of this. Yeah, that's a really good view of it. Take a screenshot of this. Make me a level that includes this jump. Let me know. Join one of the Discord channels that I'll Discord servers rather that I'll share in a moment. Make a level with this edit. Tell me about it, and I'll play it in one of the streams this week. And I'll see how we go. This particular jump it did not make it into the final game. I argued hard enough to have that level redesigned a little bit, which I'm really glad for, because this is a really difficult jump, and you would have had to do it a couple of times. But it struck me as interesting enough that I actually replicated it like this, just to sort of test it out and see whether I could make use of it in another level. So, to wrap up tonight, I'll show off my last complete level so far. So this is Operation Molten Fly. And if you are any sort of James Bond fan, you'll probably recognize where that's what inspired that title. And this is actually my first all original level for Secret Agent, and I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. It's a jet-based theme sort of thing. So, and I kind of tried to make it fairly, not necessarily non-linear, but very unconventional in the way that it plays. So you actually start right near the exit, and then there's this teleporter straight away that takes you to what feels like the end of the level. I've also built it with this little tower that is obviously there to climb, and you can't reach it from the start. So, we grab the key that's here, we grab this pickup here. We can't grab the flag yet, because we can't get up that high. We can't jump on these clouds, so all we can do here is grab the S, and teleport back to where we started. You then jump up here to this storeroom sort of thing. Teleport one way into the computer room. And then there's this little puzzle here. So you can reach the goggles from here, but not from the outside. So here you start to see the story of the level. Above you is the control room. There's that little access hatch down the side there that you have to get the 2 keys for and get down. So I tried to do a little bit of storytelling with the design of this level. So we run through here, we jump here. This is a cute little trap that I made. This thing that I'm shooting now stops you from being able to jump directly up. But you do have to dodge this each time you come through. So we come back down here, come out here, now we have this platform here. We'll grab the P, because we're halfway up the tower. Grab this, because we can. This teleports us to the control room. And that's why there's the rapid fire pickup. What's that? So, we don't have the keys yet. We can't go down there. We have to go back. I do kind of regret putting these spikes here, because it is a little bit cruel. Everyone who I saw play this level got tripped up by these spikes. So we're back to here. So we have a lot of the platforms that take us obviously to the flag that way, but we can't get from down here. The observer will notice that the red laser is gone from here, so now we can enter this part of the base. This little trap is actually, this is the first bit that I designed for this level. I wanted to try having this kind of trap, because what you have to do is that, essentially, in order to make it over the thing. And then coming back, you just simply walk down into that. I'm really proud of that little trap. That got everybody their first time playing it as well, but I was happy with it. So now that we have the blue key, no, We want to teleport back to the start of the level. Because now the green key is here, and this laser is gone too. So we can now get back to the control room. Run up here. You still can't get to the top of the tower from here. I made sure that you could only get to it using the teleporters. Come down here and grab the flag. Those mines take 2 shots to kill each. So you do not have enough ammo at this point if you've shot everything to shoot them all as well, so you have to dodge past them like that. Yeah, this part I'm really happy with. Because these blocks, there's no way to jump over them, you don't have enough height. There is the platform that's moving there, so obviously you shoot the block to allow the platform to move through, revealing another pickup, so you have to shoot this block as well. And then very precisely collect that. Now this is... I don't know why, but this particular little trap here reminds me of Commander Keen. It feels like the kind of thing that you'd see in one of the pyramids in Keen 4. This guy is a pure reflex trap. Now. Now we have the ability to get to here. I'm still not sure how I feel about this little puzzle, because you cannot jump. You cannot jump past the teleporter, you have to teleport back. And then walk back out the other side. So now, in theory, we can finish the level. So if we teleport back, we can blow up the door. But we're not done yet. There is still one whole pile of things to collect. So another run through the control room. Now we have enough ammo to deal with these. Good grief. Why did I even make this? So that magnifying glass over there is the hint to jump down to here. One of the most satisfying pickups I've ever had in a game. And that's that. So that is every level that I've made and uploaded to the Steam Workshop for Secret Agent. I actually got through all of that a lot quicker than I hoped. I had expected this stream to be a little bit longer, but that's it at the end of the day. So I'm going to call the stream for the night here. I'm going to recommend joining a couple of different Discords. One is the Discord channel for the re-released Apogee games. So Apogee are back, long story short. They are doing a whole bunch of games, not just Secret Agent and Crystal Caves. They are publishing a whole bunch of really cool indie games, some remakes, some more remakes that I'm really looking forward to coming out, and a couple of new properties as well, which are they all look really fun to play. I'll also invite you to the one for DOS Gamers. There's a really nice, really big community of gamers from all over the world. and it's fun to hang out. Last one that I'll throw out here is for Ember Hard Games, who were the publisher of this game. So if you'd like to come along and if you've created a level for Secret Agent, you can come along and tell me, hey, I'd like to see you play this level on your stream. Feel free, come along and show me what you've got, basically. So I think I'll park it there for the night. Thanks very much for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube and it's not the end of the week yet, you can still come along to one of my live streams. Ask me some questions. Like I said, I beta tested this game through development. I've run out of things to talk about without some more questions. So please do come along. Come and hang out. That'd be great. So thanks for watching. See you guys later.